Hello. In this video I'll demonstrate you how we use auto multiple choice with separate questions in separate files so that these files can be reused in other exams if you want to. It's a matter of defining some conventions, and I'll show you the conventions that we use. Currently you can see in this directory let's make it a bit bigger. Yes, like this. Yes, this is the directory. You can see that I'm now currently in the directory called CB Toy Exam Trunk 40 Exam Builds and then 2016-03-29. This is about the course Toy Exam. The name is obvious. It's for this demonstration. This is our convention for the directory contain all the stuff for exams, which is 40 exam. This is the directory that contains all the exam instances, so exams to a particular date, and this is the date for this exam. So this is the directory that I'm in. An exam itself is defined with 3 files. Students, you see there's a student file which contains some information about the students. So and it needs a header that's necessary, and then a student number. This identifies the student, and then some additional information. The next thing that you can have a look at is the questions, which is maybe the most interesting part. The questions file is a text file which uses a macro called element, which has 2 parameters, namely the classification of the question, general in all these examples, or in this example. And then the second parameter is the question file itself. Now this question file itself is used with an extra macro, which is called input queue, as you can see over there, and that takes a file name or a directory in a file name. You can put in anything you want, and what this input queue does, it simply prepends additional information so that the LaTeX processor is able to find the exam. And what it actually does, it prepends all this stuff in front of the exam, or whatever is needed to find these files. To have a go at rendering these files, we simply run PDF LaTeX on this file, and typically you have to run on them twice, and certainly if you do use references in your exam, for instance like pointing to figures, and then when you're done you can have a look at the exam and see if it's to your liking. You see here figure 1, it's reference over there, and there's another figure over here, figure 2, figure 3, and all other candidates will have the same figures but on other places. So if you paid attention, you'll see that these figures are on different places in the other exams. If you want to see the answers, the correct answers to all the questions, you should instead not render the source file, but instead the catalog file, which is defined in the directory I'll show you in a minute. If you then you have to do that twice as well. If you have a look at this catalog file, and that's the one, then you see that all the questions have been answered. There's no front page because it's not very useful in this case, and then you see that these 2 questions are both right. And this is a question where you can give 2 answers, yes, because you see this thingy over here. Okay, now this is the PDF stuff, and this is what you get. Let's remove all the stuff. There's another script, TechClean, and TechClean is one of the scripts that we created for this stuff. Just a bit of a convenience. If you ask your system what where this TechClean file is defined, you see that it's in TeamBin. And if I look in my TeamBin directory, you see that there are a lot of extra files. One of these files is one question, which is this one. Or that one is probably the same, and it can render one question. If you are editing questions, you don't want to render your complete exam ever and ever again. You simply want to render just that one question to make sure that it looks proper in your exam. To do that, I'll give you a demonstration of that as well. Let's do TechClean here first, because this have created some mess before. Let's have a look at, for instance, the graph question, which shows you a graph you've seen in the exam as well. And what we do is one question the English version only. That's why I added -en, and then render that file, and now you can have a look at the file. Oops. You can have a look at the file. This is the file. This is the content. The question, the same question as we've seen before. So this is all that's about the content of the directory. Now let's use auto multiple choice to render the exam for this demonstration. Simply start up auto multiple choice. Make sure it's on the I'll make sure that it stays on top and make a new exam project. I call it after the course, exam toy in this case. Give it a name that shows the date of the exam, so it identifies my exam nicely. I create an empty exam. That's what I always do. Then I do edit source file, and I simply close that editor to make sure that I have all the things that I need. Then I go into the MC project directory, which is the default folder under which all the projects for multiple choice are created, and then in this for the instance of the exam that I'm currently creating. And you see this source file contains rather an empty document. This is not a thing that we want to use. We will replace it with a symbolic link to the file in the exam. So how can you do that? You do ln-s for symbolic and f for false. That is, override anything that has the same name in the destination, source.tech in this case. And then I use a relative link, but that's not really needed. And then toy trunk /build, so build, excuse me, and oh, that's not what I intended. The source file I want here, and I also want the students file here. I always do that at the same time, because when you are correcting your exam, you need this students file as well. Like these auto multiple choice needs them to identify the students. That's why I also make this symbolic link here. Now, if you've set up all the stuff you need for auto multiple choice, now you can update the documents, and you simply have to have some patience. Because what auto multiple choice does, it renders all the files, fills its database for correction purposes, and it renders a question set, an individual solution, a solution to the catalog. So it's on 4 LaTeX PDF files in total, which each of them will be rendered twice to make the references, the forward references, correct. And once that's done, we can have a check on the layout detection, and then maybe have a look at the layout, and then we'll print the papers, and that will finish up the whole process. So my machine is busy updating the documents, and will be done in a second. So you see it's done. You could have a look at the files if you want to. This is the catalog. This is the solution stuff. This is the individual solution. So if your scanning process somehow doesn't work and the other things, then you can always use this one to correct the exam by hand. And this is the thing that you need to be printed for the students. You see there's an exam per student, and at the end of each file or each part exam, there you find the answer sheet. To print them, I use the options available in print. That is what it does, to compute layouts, layout detection, yes, and then print papers. Now that works, you see. I always use the option separate answer sheets, so it produces 2 files per exam, one with the questions and one with the answer form. And I always choose a subdirectory of the exam project folder, named copies. That is the convention in auto multiple choice. And then I select the exams I want to be printed. So I print all the exams because that doesn't take that long. PDF files are already created, simply to taken apart. And then in the directory, you see there's a copies subdirectory, and that will contain the files to be printed. So let's go into that. And here you see 24 files, 12 answer sheets, and 12 question files. We have an additional script file, which is ePrint ready, which reduces the number of files, but what it does in particular, it combines the answer. Oh, sorry for that. It combines the answer sheets into one forms file, and you should print that single-sided. And it also includes a set of instructions for the exam, the print shop, and there's also something for the invigilator. It's in Dutch, but you can add your own stuff, because also this file is inside the TeamBin directory in this case, I think. If it's not, then you can ask me. So this is all that you need, and once you've done all this, you can print all these files any way you want. That is, forms single-sided. All the other files can be printed in either single-sided, which is my preference, because it gives your students some smear paper that they can use in when they want to write something down. And at the end of the exam, we pick up every paper that they have. So there's an empty desk at the start, and there's an empty desk at the end, and nothing goes in and out of the exam room. That's it for now. I hope it was instructive to you, and enjoy making your own exams. Bye bye.